Attention anyone in Maryland who's been considering a divorce because there are huge changes coming to the law starting October 1st of 2023. This video is being recorded in the summer of 2023 to just outline what those changes entail and give my thoughts on what that may look like. My name is Alexandra Meeks. I'm the owner and founder of Acorn Law, a law practice in Central Maryland that is dedicated to helping busy families. So currently, the divorce law in Maryland is, I'll be honest, a bit confusing. As someone who practices in several states, Maryland's a little more confusing than some other states. One thing that I think is most confusing is that currently we have two types of divorce: limited divorce or absolute divorce. Now, a limited divorce, what is it? It's kind of like a legal separation, but not really. I could get into what it means, but I don't really need to because it is gone. So, limited divorce always kind of confused people. It's been handy for some people in some situations, but now the law is, changing, and that is a thing of the past. So, there's no more limited divorce. What remains is absolute divorce. And what is that? It's a divorce. So, in order to get an absolute divorce, currently there's a laundry list of grounds. I could go through some of them. So there's adultery, desertion, conviction of a felony or misdemeanor with incarceration, 12 months of separation, insanity, or cruelty of treatment. So, you know, I'm not gonna get into those in detail because, most of those are gonna be gone with the new law. I will say most folks use that 12-month separation ground, and, it can be a good one, but the problem with that often is that, sometimes people can't afford to live in separate places, and that can be challenging, or maybe they can't decide who should leave the marital home. Um, Additionally, if you have just one night that you spend under the same roof, then you have to start your clock over again. So it's been a little frustrating for people. Recently, we did add mutual consent divorce, which will allow you to get a divorce, even if you can't make one of those grounds. But in order to take advantage of that, you have to have an agreement that resolves all of the essential issues the court needs to address. And that can be pretty difficult sometimes. Maybe you want to be divorced, but that doesn't mean you can agree on all the things that need to be decided, and you may need the court's assistance in order to resolve some of those things. So the good news is it's about to get easier to get in front of the court and bring your issues. Going forward, the law is going to change so that we have a 6-month separation ground. So it's coming from 12 months down to 6, which is great, but also super great is that you don't have to live under separate roofs. You can actually live under the same roof as long as you have that intention that you're living separately and apart during that time. So that's a huge change and a real relief, I think, for people, especially in today's housing market, that you don't necessarily have to have the expense of two separate households. Also, importantly, very exciting, we're adding a ground of irreconcilable differences. Now, this is a phrase you've probably heard, maybe on TV, on a divorce drama on TV. And, you've heard that people have gotten a divorce because of irreconcilable differences. So now that's finally come to Maryland. What that means is that the person who files for divorce says that they have irreconcilable differences and that they intend to permanently terminate the marriage. I mean, what's interesting is we don't really know what that means. And so it'll be up to the attorneys and the judges to flesh that out. But I have a feeling the bar will be pretty low as far as what needs to be pled or shown in court in order to establish irreconcilable differences. It'll certainly be easier than having a trial about adultery because those are never fun. All right. So the law also, if I didn't mention this before, still allows that mutual consent divorce. So it's pretty exciting that Maryland has these new options that I think will work a bit better for people in the modern world and how we interact with one another and um, how we can get help from the court in the way that I think makes sense to people. So there's still a lot of questions out there. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. I think a big question that a lot of attorneys have is whether that evidence around those bad behaviors that used to be relevant for those fault-based grounds, so that adultery behavior or desertion, evidence of that nature, like whether that would be something the court wants to entertain or listen to in order to help them make decisions about the other issues in the case. That'll be remain to be seen, but the general consensus is that some of that evidence will still be let in, especially depending on, what are the other issues the court needs to address. So hopefully that's been helpful. The big news is just that divorce is about to get, at least the grounds for divorce is about to get a lot easier in Maryland. If you live in Maryland and are needing help getting through this process, I'd be happy to help. You can reach out to me right on my website and make an appointment. I'd love to talk to you and I'd love to help.